Yeah, go ahead.
Hello everyone, welcome to Email Specialist Virtual Bootcamp. We are on week 2, 5th day, I guess. Yes, so today I am there as your host. Yeah, so myself, Isha Garg, I am working as an associate developer in Daysworks. I am leading a New Delhi B2B community group. I am Marketing Cloud Email Specialist certified. And thank you, Shibu, for having me here, spreading my knowledge, my learnings from this particular certification. And yes, my passion to be a PAM. So let's proceed with our bootcamp day 5. So I'm going to deliver email deliverability today. Let's get started. What is all about deliverability? Why do we need to understand email deliverability? Why do we need to dive into it? We'll be covering a few topics today. So these are the list of topics here. We learn about Canspam, commercial transactional emails, send classification, sender profile, delivery profile, and few best practices what we need in email deliverability. We'll understand the concepts and concepts of A/B testing. And we'll see a brief overview. What is email approvals? What are the workflows there? And yeah, we'll go ahead with it. So starting with what is email deliverability? What is it exactly? It's simply a way to measure your success at which, as a sender, you are able to able to send and connect emails to your customers. What does that mean? Like able to deliver or connect with your customers is like sending your emails at a right destination and without any issue, or you can say avoiding any issue in the email, it should be delivered. I wonder what can be the issue. Issue is nothing but you can say not going to a spam folder, not getting any type of bounces, maybe a hard bounce, soft bounce, anything like that. So when we want to prevent our email from any type of issue causing our email to get it delivered at a right destination, we need to understand email deliverability at a large scale. It plays a very important role. And trust me guys, deliverability depends 100% on IP. And what is an IP? Like if I say like okay, let's see how is ISP judged. Okay, as Gilda gave a very nice presentation on ISP, how they are tracked and something like that. So let's understand how they are judged. Actually, you can define them upon your domain, IP address, history, engagement, and reputation, but it's not limited here. We cannot exactly judge who is the jury behind it. Okay, so we need to go forward with our best email deliverability practices and prevent our IP reputation. Now, when I say IP reputation, it's nothing but grade of an IP that should not go down. When we consider IP, we say that when we shoot out a bulk of emails, we say that we should fire it first on active customers, active subscribers, you can say, and then move slowly on a lower level so that our IP reputation is maintained, the average is maintained, and it's not that much affected. And one important thing, if once our IP is blocked by any domain, that to that particular domain, we cannot send any type of email. For example, suppose Gmail is blocked from our Marketing Cloud tool. So we cannot send any email to Gmail subscribers. So that would be a hard issue out there. So we need to understand how our ISPs are charged, how can we prevent our IP reputation and stuff. And there's they are defined, but we cannot, again I would say that we cannot restrict on these. There may be more scenarios out there which can affect our ISPs. Yes, moving forward with Canspam. Different countries have various Canspam laws for their email deliverabilities and for their users, subscribers. And Canspam is one of the anti-spam law followed by US government, US federal government. So what does it complies is nothing but that email should not go too much to a spam folder, or you can say that it's covered by a legislation. Okay, it's covered by a legislation which says that any subscriber who unsubscribes from an org should be unsubscribed within 10 days. It should be managed within 10 days, and our subject lines are not so deceptive or misleading. By deceptive or misleading, we mean that we should not give an abrupt subject line which does not relate to our content. So our subject line should be relating our content. It should never be misleading. Otherwise, Canspam law can fire a complaint regarding that. And we look forward more for transactional messages or transactional emails, I must say. And yes, if you're not following Canspam law, our branding, our company branding is put into a risk. Okay, if we are sending out any unsolicited emails, it puts a brand and company at risk. So ISP actively attempt to identify and block senders who send unsolicited mail. This is allowed under the law. So we need to get a deep dive knowledge for Canspam compliance system guide and understand all the features out there. Moving ahead with send definition, it's nothing but a definition to our send. It defines the parameters for an email job in a central location so that we reuse those parameters for multiple email send definitions. Now, when we say that what is send definition, we majorly mean like who is sending it, who is receiving it, and what is the type of classification you are sending out. So these three parameters completely comes in send definition. We are in next few slides, we will understand what is a sender profile, delivery profile, send classification. So sender profile is nothing but the profile of the sender, which mainly contains the name and the address that appears to be from in the subscriber's email client. Now, I'll repeat. The sender profile will contain the name and address that the message appears to be from in the subscriber's email client. What does this mean? Like when we are sending out an email, what is the name that you want to display to your client? What is the email that you want to display to your client on receiving a particular email? So I have attached this small screenshot over here where you can see how do we define a sender profile, how can we manage it in our system, and yes, the email that we are entering here should be verified even. We cannot give an abrupt email that should go under from. Coming forward to delivery profile. Delivery profile is nothing but it consists of three major things, that is IP address, header, and footer. IP address is nothing but it attracts from for which IP are you sending. Is it a private IP to a private IP you want to send, or it's an account default IP you want to send, or what is the header and footer that you would like to define to your email send. So as it comes under send definition, you are defining your email send. So yeah, delivery profile counts these three major things. We have we come across various questions, like when we want to track our IP address of the delivery profile, when we want to define them. So in that case, the picture of delivery profile comes in the scenario, and yes, we can move forward with that defining thing. Coming forward with our send classifications, it majorly it consists of two email classifications, that is commercial emails and transactional emails. Commercial emails are nothing but promoting our own product, our own brand. Any email that we are sending out for any purpose, okay, for any advertisement or any ads or something like that, it is majorly sent to our subscriber list. Okay, these must include your physical mailing address and provide an opt-out or unsubscribe mechanism as well. So these two major things that comes under commercial emails are something necessary that should be there over your email to avoid Canspam, or you can say to comply Canspam law. Yes. And yes, as I told you, that it goes for only subscriber list. When we talk about transactional emails, it is the purpose when we are interacting to our client. Interacting as in, suppose you have in your account 1,000 rupees are credited, so you receive a message, right? You receive an email, right? So it is something transactional. You are ordering something, so you receive a message, you receive an email. So unsubscriber link is not required in transactional message. What does that mean? That transactional emails are sent to everyone transacting for any purpose, okay, any purpose, and it does not fire only for active customers. If any customer is unsubscribed from a system, though the transactional emails would fire. Moving forward with understanding sender reputation key players. Yes, we have few sender reputation key players, which which can prevent our ISP to get fired, or we can prevent our IP reputation over there. So as we talked about spam complaints, many of the Gmail users can report as spam. So we need to avoid that to prevent our own reputation. We need to maintain our list hygiene. List hygiene, what does that mean exactly? Is that it should exclude bounces. It should exclude bounces, and list detective bugs should not be there. So a particular list is clean and hygiene, and how is that email ISP blocked? It is blocked by our unsubscribe or domain wise. So we need to keep them clean and hygiene. We can say that it should not come under block list, maybe by unsubscribes or maybe by domains. Authentication, when we talk about it, covers our DKIM and SPF protocols, which is widely accepted. So we can maintain our authenticity of our email deliverability over there. Spam tracks, we should not be tracked by keywords like test or reply, sale, or something like that. So that those keywords are something like traps that we should be aware of. So we should not include them in our subject lines or pre-headers or something like that. And coming forward with engagement is like we see in day-to-day lives, right? Suppose if a person is interested in some particular jackets, maybe men's jackets, so we need to track those engagement and send them something similar to their emails or maybe messages or something like that, whatever way we want to engage with them. So if we are sending, if they are interested in men's jackets and we are sending them something related to accessories, mechanical accessories, it won't make sense. So we need to track the engagement and maintain our reputation over the sender key players. When we talk about content, we should comply the content detective tool over there to have all the clean content over our email body, email subject, email pre-headers. So it should not be like a bulkified content or some content that is not irrelevant. It should be, like this magnet, it should be grabbed and should not be included in the email content body. Permission. Our emails should be only sent to subscribers. Sending to unsubscribes, our email reputation goes down. So as I mentioned, one point out there, that when we are starting a bulk email shoot, we should start with active customers to raise our IP reputation. And suppose if in the second batch or the second time we are sending, or to the second email set we are sending, so it gets it has few unsubscribes, or maybe some emails are going to spam folder, so our IP reputation doesn't go that down. We need to maintain that permission thing over there. And yes, the frequency matters. We ourselves get irritated when we have a lot of emails from particular email ID or something. So we should be maintaining our frequency, which definitely plays a great sender reputation key player role. Now, those similar things are listed in the good, bad, and the ugly things. So the good thing is that we are having email authentication, permission, and high engagement. High engagement, as I told you, it's like we should be sending out engagement only for the interested things of that particular subscribers. Sending irrelevant content is something bad. Getting high complaints, it's bad. Unexpected emails or list hygiene issues comes under bad things. So we need to prevent these all things when we are talking about email deliverability. And we don't want any ugly things like spam track hits and old list or purchase list or appended list. So these ugly things highly affect our IP reputation, and we should not be following this particular path. Rather, we should work more on the good things that we have in email deliverability, which plays a crucial key role. And coming forward to understanding email deliverability, it is not necessarily the same as delivered rate. Yes, it is not necessarily the same as delivered rate. It encompasses all the complexities involved with delivery your email to the intended recipients. Now, if suppose we are sending out 100 emails, we cannot expect that 100 emails are delivered at a good delivered rate, right? So maybe there are few spams, maybe there are few bounces. So factors like content, authentication, and infrastructure, list quality, subscriber engagement, spam filters, and many more contribute to deliverability. So this is a small pie chart which affects our delivered rate, or we can say that we should follow these few things: consistency, text version, content, metrics, sender reputation, authenticity. Once we follow these following parameters, definitely our delivered rate is increased, but again, not necessarily that it is same as it is not necessarily that deliverability is the same as delivered rate. Here we come out with few best practices for email deliverability. So when we talk about reputation and deliverability, we have a small checklist out there. Now again, this is not restricted. Many more things are out there which can affect our email deliverability. But still, we should follow a good path out there so that our email is not that much affected and it follows a best practice. Starting with organic list acquisition and explicit opt-in with clear expectations. Yes, our list should be organic, and it should only be having opt-ins. We should nullify all the opt-outs, or you can say unsubscribes. Button up mailing infrastructure and authentication. Routine maintenance on list hygiene, review and manage bounces. Once we have a hygienic list, okay, and we are able to manage our bounces, definitely our email deliverability rate increases. And with that, IP reputation obviously will increase. We should focus on active and engaged audience. We should, trim it first. As I told you, that active and engaged audience should be take up on priority. We create a one-to-one relationship with your customers with compelling and personalized content. Now, when we receive an email like, "Hey, Isha," so I wondered, like, I should go on reading it out. So it shows a one-to-one relationship with your customers, and when we deliver out a personalized content, okay. So then listen to your customers. Email is a two-way street. Now, when we say listen, it's nothing but an engagement, right? So if it is, if he or she is interested in a particular thing, particular product, start your engagement with that particular thing, so that you target your audience and you work on a productive audience out there. Test and analyze, then test some more. Use the email, use the many deliverability focused resources available. Ask for help. That's why we are there. Yes, we need to test and analyze things before we are shooting out emails. We'll talk more in deep about A/B testing. That's something that's one of the favorite part of mine that I love to do before sending an email, and it tells me the best thing out there. How do we, which email is going to be more productive. So coming forward with A/B testing. A/B testing is nothing but we are testing two versions of our email. Two versions of our emails for your Marketing Cloud Email Studio communication to two test audience. Now, when we say two test audience, let me start. It says like, suppose we have 100 audience, 100 subscribers out there, right? We want to test on 10 subscribers. Now, how do we select 10? It's like randomly by percentage or randomly by number. Randomly means like it's filtered randomly. We don't know who the person is in test audience, who is the person in the winning audience. So there's two type of audience at an initial level: test audience and the winning audience. So whichever email wins from the test audience will be delivered to the winning audience automatically. When we talk about test audience, suppose we have 10% in test audience. Now, from that 10%, 5 subscribers would be getting version A, and 5 subscribers would be getting version B. Depending on the time limit that we have set out there, it would be calculating the maximum of clicks or opens for that particular email, and after that particular time has went off, the winning email would be sent out to our rest 90 subscribers. Yes, that's something amazing. A/B testing is like when we have two emails. Now, how can we differentiate? I'll explain more on A/B testing. Let's first see what all different things we can have, different contents we can have on two different versions out there. So subject lines, emails, content area we can modify for both the versions, from name, send time, and pre-headers. Pre-headers is nothing but which comes just before your email body, and which we can track. With these parameters, we can track which two different kind of test types are having more better performance. Okay, so let's see something diagrammatic. So when we select our audience, we can suppress them by suppression list. We can have, maybe there are a few subscribers which we have in the subscriber list. We don't want to send them out. Maybe we have some exclusion list out there. Exclusion list, as I understand, it's something like domain restricted emails, like we don't want to send them, or they have something restriction out there. So we can select, like I said, that randomly by percentage or randomly by number. We can select our test audience. So let's say out of 100, 10 is our test audience. Half of it will be getting email A, half of it will be getting email B, version B. And after that particular time, what we have set, winning audience, as in getting the email which gets maximum clicks or opens, would be delivered to winning audience. Now, what if, I wonder, what if the test audience gets an equal number in version A and equal number in version B? Who is the winner then? Version A is the default winner there. So if there's a draw between test audience, version A is selected as an automatic winner to the winning audience. Likewise, I guess this is super clear with these images and diagrams. Moving forward with the topic of the day, email approvals. Now, when we are sending out emails, our emails should be approved as well. Now, when we talk about approvals, we have two types of workflows out there. So the admin creates a team of users using a standard or two-step workflow with the following roles. When we talk about standard workflow, there comes a submitter, reviewer or reviewers, and an approver. So suppose when our submission is pending, it's submitted, it's reviewed. Once reviewed, it can again go for pending resubmission. Okay, so if it has multiple approvers out there, it can return for revision, and one more time the reviewer completes the review, and then the email should be approved. So when we are working on email approvals, we need to select what type of workflow are we going to follow out there, and what type of approval we would like to see. When we talk about two-step workflow, we have submitter and approver. So we don't have multiple approvers. I believe we just start with, we don't have, actually the main difference is that we don't have a reviewer anyhow here. Okay, so yeah, I guess I missed, I just replicated that word. It was in standard workflow, we can have multiple reviewers. Approver would be one. It can have multiple reviews, and then it should be approved by one single approver. When we talk about two-step workflow, we only have a submitter and an approver, no multiple audience in between. So it's just a two-step workflow which straightly can work on the submission and approve the pending submission, then pending resubmission. If it is there, it can be resubmitted and approved. So it doesn't have any reviewer. That's only the difference between two-step and the standard workflow. I believe that's all from my side. Any questions, guys? I believe that I try to cover out various things that we can consider in email deliverability.
Isha, I'll just go ahead and show the screens as well live. So can I just share?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yes, can you please let me know once you can see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen. So guys, we can see some hands-on things, whatever we saw today, whatever we learned today. Yes, Chibu, all over to you.
Thanks, Isha. So team, as part of deliverability, I believe Isha covered some important topics that you need to know. The primary thing is like the Canspam law. It's very important that we have to adhere to it, because even though you belong to different countries, you may be operating your own organization from various countries, and you might be having your own marketing cloud account or org. You still need to follow Canspam law. Okay, the primary reason is because Salesforce, like Marketing Cloud, is part of the US entity, and they have to and whichever Marketing Cloud org you actually buy, it actually rolls up into the US entity, and because of that, it automatically has to comply with the US law, US federal law. Okay, so besides your regular local laws that you need to check for any email communication or marketing purposes that you need to look at, GDPR or anything else that is there, you still need to comply with Canspam. That is 100%, right? So Marketing Cloud inbuilt, they have certain things built in, and I think she covered that, that you need to have a physical address and a unsubscribe link in your email, otherwise it will not let you go forward. And then unsubscribe settings, I believe you already saw that within 10 days, once you click on the unsubscribe link, you should be unsubscribed. Most of the times it is immediate. As soon as you click on a link, automatically it will take you an unsubscribe. But sometimes if you have done a custom method of unsubscribing, you might have your custom subscription center or preference profile center that you have set up. You need to ensure that it is done within 10 days, and this mechanism is available for 30 days from the day that you send an email. For instance, if I send an email today, that unsubscribe process should be available to me even on the 30th day that I've received that email. Okay, if I choose to unsubscribe, it should be available after the 30th day. If it is not available, it's not legal, but most of the times it should work. That's what people look for. As per the law, at least 30 days you need to have it. Then this is definitely something you should know. And then primary types of classifications, so we talked about commercial, transactional, types of classification that we have under Canspam. Okay, most marketing emails are defined as commercial. It's like you're trying to do a promotional one, right? And then anything that is transactional, let's say you did a maybe you sold something, and then or somebody actually purchased something from your site. So automatically, when you get an email, that then you placed an order, this is to confirm your order, etc. Those kind of things are transactional, right? Now specific laws are there, for commercial versus transactional. Commercial is more stricter because it's marketing, so you cannot simply send it to anybody who's not opted in, right? And then they should have subscribed to it, etc. Transaction, on the other hand, does not need to have that. It's good to have as a practice, but otherwise still you can send it to them. And any marketing promotional things that you're doing as part of transactional emails, you need to ensure it comes after the transactional content. You cannot put okay, free marketing offer, everything on the top, and then show the order and all that. Okay, so that is also very important. So just to give you a few things on that. So on send classification, what she covered is any email that you send from Marketing Cloud, you need to ensure it has a classification with it, saying okay, what type of email it is, right? So you have to go and create so by default you can create one for commercial, one for transactional. But then if I have something specific for all newsletter emails that I'm sending out, I can name it so newsletter marketing. If I name it like way, and I can say all newsletter marketing definitely would be commercial, right? It's not a transactional email. But if it was order confirmation, right? So that one, if it is that kind of send classification, if I wanted, I would have made it as transaction. Okay, and then I can say, okay, what is the sender profile and delivery profile as well. Now this sender profile, delivery profile, we actually we actually store it in a separate configuration in admin. So all this is in the email admin section. You can see it either in setup or you can see it in the admin section. You have to go and configure this in the beginning when you set up your org. Okay. Um, so as part of the send classification, you have to either specify it's either a commercial or a transactional type of send it is. Either one. You cannot have both. Okay. In the single send classification. And then sender profile, what she mentioned was it's either you give a name, sorry, you have to give a name and an email. So it's very important. Like we said, sometimes when you get emails, right, you have no clue, like, you will look for the, like, when you see, nowadays, like, it's very easy to, like, like, see phishing emails, right? Sometimes you get like emails that look exactly like as if it came from your bank. Okay, but then when you go and check the email address and the name, then you might understand, oh, this is not a valid one, like, the domain doesn't seem valid. Okay, if it is very good domains like Gmail and all, they have very good spam filters and authentication things they catch. Okay, for instance, like, even if it seems to come from a valid ID, if it is not authenticated, they will directly send it to your spam ID. Okay, which is why, like, Isha was saying, like, you need to, like, set up your DKIM keys or, like, authentication packages and all that. Otherwise, even if it, like, you say it is, you're sending it from the proper valid like, domain, like, for instance, I'm using my company domain. If I don't have an authentication done with Marketing Cloud and my company's domain, okay, you will not be able to send out. I mean, when you send it out, it will be treated as spam. What Gmail will see it as, like, it doesn't seem to be authenticated coming from this domain. And that has happened to me. I've actually, like, went and I set up my email in here. Okay, my UST Global email, I did it, and then I started sending out emails to, even to my own personal IDs as well and my company IDs as well. It always went to spam. I went and checked, and they're saying, like, we cannot authenticate, like, this is coming from a valid UST Global ID. Okay, even though I was sending it from my email. Okay, so the problem was because I did not register my domain in with Marketing Cloud and my company. Like, so there is some DNS settings that you need to do as part of that. That's a little more advanced topic. So when you get into admin and all that, you have to actually go and, set up the domain, your domain settings. You need to register with your DNS and all that. Okay, once you do that, automatically then you are registered. Like, your sender email, what domain you use is all registered. Okay, so if I want to, like, then create a sender profile, it's very easy. Like, then I can, once the domain is registered, I can actually go and add any person's name. Like, if I do like this, and if I add SF, something like this, automatically when I click out, because this domain is actually now registered for me, it shows verified. Okay, if I enter a value that is not verified, automatically if I try to, like, click here, it will show verified. Means I need to verify that because it's a different domain that has not been registered. Okay, so these things are very important, like, this kind of deliverability perspective, like, if it's coming from a valid ID, if it's coming from a valid email. And subscribers who actually, like, work with your company, they will already know that, like, okay, if I'm getting, for instance, your bank, like, if you have a bank that you're banking with, you know the domain of the bank. So if it's coming from a specific email ID that you have been receiving in the past, when you see that email ID and the name, you will know it's a valid. But the moment you see, like, it's a different email ID and, like, the name seems suspicious, okay, you might immediately, like, be like, suspicious, and you would say, like, okay, I don't trust that, like, email. I won't probably report it, or I might move it to spam, or, like, I might not respond to it or unsubscribe from it, right? So those kind of things, that is why, like, the sender information is very, very important. Like, make sure, like, you always keep using the consistent one, the emails, etc. And the IP address that she was mentioning earlier is something that you actually, specify in the delivery profile. So in the delivery profile, like, every Marketing Cloud business unit that you are using, like, that within your org, you have the option to use, like, buy a separate sender authentication package. It's a package that like, you can buy from Salesforce along with your Marketing Cloud instance. They will give you your authentication, like, setup, all that, and they'll give you an IP addresses for each BU that you want. If you want separate like, IP addresses, you can purchase that. Or if you want one single IP address for your entire Marketing Cloud or that you want to use, you can do that, right? So by default, you will get one, like, that you cannot control it. But then if you bought the package, you will see, like, multiple IPs over here, and you can drop down. You can say, okay, this particular email or this particular delivery should go from this particular IP address, right? And if I save that, you will see that that is the IP address I want to use always when I send out order confirmations, or this sender profile with this particular IP address is the one that I always want to for marketing communications, right? So it can be two different types of IP addresses that might be using from a branding perspective. Okay, so that is being always configured under delivery profiles, right? And then header and footer is also, like, something that you need to, like, specify. These things you can either, like, leave it as none if you want, provided then you actually configure header and footer in your actual email, like, in your email content. When you actually do it, you can actually specify, like, okay, in my template I can have a header footer. But if you don't expect that to be done there, like, you want a default, like, the header and footer from the account, like, which has a proper layout and all, you can define that. Okay, and on the setup level, you can go and define that. and then say, okay, this is the top header and footer that always should go out for all my emails. It might have the details of like, your company information, physical address, unsubscribe links and all that by default, right? So it can be done as there as well. So in the cases of like, where your email content does not have a header or footer and wants to use the account default, you can use the appropriate delivery profile. But in some cases, your email marketing team may come and say like, guys, okay, we need to have our custom content here. We should be using our own header and footer for this type of marketing. Then you should create a separate delivery profile that has a none header and footer. Okay, so then automatically it will not show double footer for like, for that emails that get sent out. Okay, so these things you need to like, know where to go and configure for that. Okay, so the sender profile, delivery profile, and the Canspam classification together will be stored under the send classification. So if I go to a send classification, let's say I open the default commercial, it'll give me the option to like, choose one of the sender profiles and one of the delivery profiles and say, this is the current one that I want to use. I can create multiple send classifications that I want. So it depends on the type of sends that I plan to use it for. Okay. And then this actually will be used in an email. Like when you configure the email, okay, to do sends out, like, it's probably in tomorrow's session when we do the content, and after that when we show you the send flow, you probably might have seen it earlier as well. Like, there will be a section where we have to specify the send classification. So for any email that you send out, send classification is a must. That is the one that actually tells you what type of email this is that you're trying to send out. Okay, so that is why this has to be configured upfront. Okay, any question on send classification, sender profile, delivery profile? Okay. Then I had something on approvals. So let me go here in the feature settings. So under approvals, for every BU, okay. So one of the things, like when you actually get your marketing cloud org, by default approvals is not turned on, okay. And it's always the best practice to go and make sure approvals is there. Otherwise, what will happen is if somebody creates an email, your team can actually just send it out immediately, and that's a big no-no. Okay, you need to have ensure proper settings, restrictions are in place. People have the right roles. So content creation team might be having the rights to create content. Okay, they probably will not have the rights to send out emails, but that doesn't mean that everybody who's got rights to send out email can simply send out emails as well, right? It has to go through the proper review, checking, audits, everything. And then once it is being tested, all that, and then the approvers have to go and say, okay, this is approved, we can go out. So for that, under setup, you need to actually, for every BU, every business unit, you need to go and set up a team. Okay, so if you by default, when you come into your BU, this will be empty. Okay, so if I want to create a team, you have to say a team name. Okay, and then you have to say what type of approval. So I believe Misha already showed you standard approval is like the three steps. Like it will have a submitter, reviewer, and the approver. Two step will be only two, submitter and approver. So if you are selecting a standard approval process, you have to give a person's name. Like if I give my name right now, okay, you can automatically say, okay, who am I? Like am I a final approver? If I put that, it'll apply my name over here, right? And then I have to assign the team name over here. So let me cancel out of this one actually. So I've already set up one over here, which is a two-step approver, which I say I only need to specify the approver, meaning everybody else can submit, and then I'm the one who's actually approving any emails that come in. So once I set this, what happens is if I go to email content, let's say if I go to content here, so you will see a status over here. Okay, so what this means is if it is not approved, I will not be able to send out this email. So for instance, if I click on this email, you will see the send is actually grayed out. Okay, I'll be able to edit it, I'll be able to preview it, no problems there. Okay, but I will not be able to send out this email. And if I need to start the approval process, I need to click on start. It will get submitted to the approval dashboard, and since I have access, I can go and see okay, it is there, and then I will get an email notification. I can go review the comments, test it out if I want, and then I can go ahead and approve it, because it's a two-step process. If it was a three-step process, it would go to the reviewers first. Okay, whoever is set up as a reviewers, they would actually get it, they would actually look at it, and once they approve it, it comes to the final approver. Okay, now let's look at if it was one of the other approved emails. So this is an approved email. If I want, I can actually send it from here directly, or if I go here into the email, you will see the send button is enabled as well. Okay, so here you'll see the send button is now enabled. So if I click on that, you can see like, I'll start like, I can go through the send. And this is what I was saying earlier, like, when I was trying to send an email, it will ask you for the configuration, right? Under properties, you see here, the say saved send classification, right? By default, like, I can say if it's a default commercial or transactional, which was the send classification that I want to use, I can use. Since it is marketing, I can choose commercial, and then I can go ahead and, configure the rest of the stuff. Okay. So that's how you actually like, use approvals, like, so the good thing is like, I can restrict people from like sending out emails unless and until it is approved. Like, it's a very good way of like, ensuring people do not mistakenly send out, half done emails, or like, or something that is not approved to be sent out. Okay. Any questions on approvals?
Hey Shibu,
Yes,
I
you
have
should.
one question.
Hmm?
Is approvals are recommended practice or kind of like we should avoid it, or
Always
because
recommended. So
it is
like I
almost
said, by default it is like, it's not enabled. So when you set up your org for the first time, I would recommend like, you have your admin go to setup and then set up the team. You can have multiple types, like, depending on the teams that you have, you can have multiple teams. And then whichever team needs to be like, reviewing it, approving it, you can submit to that team. Like when you submit for approval, it will go to that team. Okay. But try not to have too many, like, it'll be very confusing, like, but depends on the how the usages is. Like, if you have
okay.
different departments looking at it. So if there's a content team for email that is approving it, you can have it. If there's a mobile is a different team, you can have a mobile for different one, etc. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, like email for each channel, if you want, you can have a separate team. So that's one way of looking at it, or might be a geographical thing. Okay? But then it will be depend on the BU. Like if your BU is like, specifically for a geography, then you just need one team, right?
Thank
So
you.
it
Thanks.
varies from use case. Now,
Makes
one
sense.
thing I forgot to mention, guys, like, I believe you already saw content builder separately here, right? So content builder, if you access, it is almost the same view as what I see here from email content. Okay. One major difference, you cannot send email from content builder. Okay. So I've actually stumbled upon it myself, and I used to like, think long time back when I started using it, like, when I, especially the new content builder, like, I keep editing the emails and I keep like looking at, okay, I have an approved email. Why am I not able to send it out? Like if I go to this approved email here, I won't see the send button here. I was to like figure out like, I'm in content, I'm actually, it's an approved, I was to like, figure out what is wrong. Then I understood like, okay, you cannot send out. Content builder is primarily meant for editing content only. Okay. Email studio is the one where you have to go to send out emails, even though you have content, in here as well, which actually is replicating whatever comes under content builder. The content section within email is the only place where you can send an email from within content. Okay. So please keep that in mind. Don't get confused by going into content builder and trying to send out an approved email. It won't go. Okay. Small tip there. Okay, and that's pretty much what we had. Let me show you if I had on A/B testing as well. So did we have any other question on the other sections that I covered? Okay. So A/B testing, I actually don't have any data, but let me quickly show you, like, the screens of what Isha was showing you earlier. So primarily, like she said, if you want to like, compare two different types of send. So most of the time when your marketing team is trying to send, the audience is pretty large. Like people are not going to send to like, 100 people or 500 people or not. That's not marketing, right? I mean, unless you're a very small company. Most of the times it will be in the hundred thousands, like, so it might be 100,000 to 500,000 or 1 million customers, etc. Right? So you might have a large audience. And sometimes your marketing team might be like, launching a new product or something they want to like send out, but they're like, slightly like, in a confusion, like, okay, they have like two teams or two, three things that they want to like tinker around and say, okay, we think this is better over this, we're not sure. So instead of sending it to your entire audience in the beginning, so this is something that we can do as part of that, like it's called A/B testing. Okay. So what it does is it actually takes a small set of your actual audience that you intended that you want to do, and then you can send it to a small portion for that, like, so you can have like she was showing earlier, if you for a fictitious number, like, it was like, it was 100, then you can actually take maybe 10% of it, right? But if it's like, about 500,000, maybe 10,000 might be a good number, like, you never know, like, and it's okay, it doesn't matter, like, because it's not going to impact the rest of the 490,000 that you might want to send to, right? So it's a good thing, like, to try and test it out on the 10,000, and depending on that, you will have a good idea of like, okay, can if I send it to, like, if I get a good idea about this from the test results, then I won't be wasting too much on the wrong one with the rest of the audience. So that would be something that you want to do. For instance, one good thing would be send date and time. Okay, for instance, how many of you actually open emails on a weekend or on a weekday? It varies from people to people, region to region. Some people they don't like to open any emails or anything on the weekend. Okay, but during weekdays, a lot of people actually are into internet, social media, they're checking emails, a lot of stuff. So we probably have to depending upon the audience and the marketing region, everything, geo, wherever you are at, depending on the culture, the type of age group that you are actually targeting, you have to properly test it out and see okay, when we send it out, I might try to send one email on a weekend, and one I might do it on a weekday, even particular time, depending on when we think people are doing it, so we are able to open it. So we might send the same email at two different times and see okay, to two different audiences, A and B, and see which gets better response. And then if you see people are actually responding better on the weekday, then the remaining audience, we should definitely send it during the weekday. Okay, so that is what the A/B test is about. Sometimes it's about catchy subject lines, if you send a normal subject line, or one which is more personalized, and has a better catchy, so you're not sure which one is better, your team itself is wondering which one is good, you can choose the same email with different subject lines. Okay, sometimes you totally two different emails, the content itself might look different, or even within the email another two different content areas, but the remaining is different. So you can have various things that you can test as part of the emails that you want to send it out, and then test it with that specific audience that you are intending. Okay, and you cannot choose okay, who are the people that will go, we saw the random segmentation when we did list and data extensions. You cannot choose the 10,000 or the 20,000, whatever the percentage that you choose. You can only choose the number of percentage or the number of people, right? And that will be exactly divided. Now the when we did the random segmentation, at least every group you could actually choose, right? Here there's only two groups. The total test audience that you choose, let's say you chose 10,000 people I want to send as test audience, it will automatically divide that into half 5,000 in the A and 5,000 in the B, right? You won't get to say okay, I want 3,000 in A and then 7,000 in B. You cannot do it that way. Automatically it will do the division for you. You just have to say how much is your total test audience. It will divide it by half. If it's an odd number, it will adjust one extra person in one of the groups, it will be there. Okay, but that's it. And then you have to say okay, I want to use it, I want to choose the is it the number of clicks, or if it's the number of uniques open that I want to track. So one of these things you have to mention, and then based on that they will tell you who the winner is. At the end of the day, you have to say okay, when do you want to declare the result? Do I need to wait 1 day, 2 day, whatever it is? And then after that you can go and see depending upon the result, it will tell you. There's two options. You can either automatically based on the winner, send the winning email to the rest of the people, or you can say manually, please wait, I will come and review the result, and based on that I will send the winning email out to the rest of the folks. Okay, so it's recommended up to you. If you think okay, I don't need to wait for it, I want it to automatically send it out based on the winner, then you can schedule it that way as well. Okay, so the tool has flexibility for that. That's a good part about it. Okay. So I hope you understood what A/B testing is used for. Primarily when you have multiple things that you want to test out from a decision standpoint, and for the larger audience you want to test it with a smaller subject, and then expanding the winner one out to the rest of the audience. Okay. Any other questions on topics that we covered today? I hope you've seen the live part of the where we see this in the tool and how do we use it.
Hey, Shibu, I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if we are asked to create a seed list, so if we are sending a particular kind of emails, and if that department team asks us to kind of include them in those targeted emails, and they are not part of the targeted list, and if I have to create a seed list to be included in all those emails, how do we create, earlier I used to kind of filter those particular email addresses from our main data extension, but sometimes I realized that those people were not part of that main data extension, and then I started kind of subscribing them to our emails and then filtering them. But is there a better way? Can I kind of import a list of email addresses for a particular send to use as a seed list. So what I mean is, like, can I import a list of email addresses who are not our subscribers, but to include them as a seed list for like one-off emails, like an email that goes out once every week?
You can create your own list, your custom list, and you can import people into that. That is not a problem. But my question to you is, like, what are those, like, people, are they target for those, like, are they, when you said they're not subscribers,
Yeah, if they are
are they
internal team.
expected to get the email?
Yeah, so if they are kind of like part of our company and they want to see those emails when they are deployed.
Okay. So you mean to copy them as well? So there, I
Yeah.
think it's a BCC option in the admin, but keep in mind that is extra charges will be there for that. Okay.
No, I don't mean to say like BCC,
Uh-huh.
but like, for example, if I have a like targeted email going on like every Monday,
Uh-huh.
and that goes to a particular like subset of our subscribers,
Okay.
and for that particular department asks us to include their team in that targeted email.
Okay, so you can create another list for them.
Okay.
Okay, and then, like, include them in that particular send. So like I said,
Okay.
when you try to send the email, you can include multiple things. So one thing is, you cannot include a list and a data extension together. Okay,
Okay.
so if you are using a data extension for your primary send on that Monday, okay, you create another data extension for storing your your internal team, and
Okay.
add them to that send. So you can include multiple targeted data extensions, no issue.
But if they are not our subscribers, still can I send them the email?
They are internal, right? So
Yeah, they are internal.
it's understood that they have opted in.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So as long as they are not external people, no problem. See, ideally, internal people you would actually send if they are if for testing purposes, a test send it. But
Yeah.
if a
Yeah.
special use case where they're saying we want to be copied, but keep in mind when you have to tell your team as well that it's actually a waste of super messages. If it's a small thing, that is okay. But, like, for every email that is getting sent to them again.
No, not every email, just for when that targeted email.
I know, but, like, so why aren't they actually being sent a test send when you're doing the preview and test?
Yeah, we can, but kind of like they want to see the final deployed email. So
Okay, so that is what that is for actually. Like, when you do
okay.
the test send, like, if you go into email, this content. Give me 1 second, let me just bring it up. So if you have a test data extension and you wanted to, like, send it out, like, you would actually go and do the preview and test. Okay, so as part of this over here, you have to specify that test data extension that is for your internal team. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is as good as the final version, which means,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
once this is approved by them,
Yeah.
okay, you would actually go and do the send after this.
Yeah.
Okay, so even the approval is based on that, right? So if you want, like, them to review it and then do the approval, this is the good way to do it. You do preview test. The test, ideally your internal team should be a test data extension. You can have, like, up to, like, 25 people or so that you can have, like, you can add them
Okay.
here. Okay, and
Uh-huh.
then they would get this email. Okay, and
Okay.
you can see all this, like, how it would look like. You can, based on the preview, you can add that, and then once they see it, they can come back and see if they are also part of your reviewer approval team. Then this is a good way for them to come and approve. Once they receive the email, they'll say, yeah, I am okay with this.
I
Otherwise,
agree.
it'll be too
Yeah.
late to, like, for them to come back and say, oh, we shouldn't have done this, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So ideally, you would do the preview and test to your internal team. They will review, and then you submit the email to approval so that somebody from the team is there to review and approve it. Okay. Once they say everything is good to go, then you can send it out.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions, team? Okay. I think if there's nothing, then we can wrap up. I'll give you half an hour back. Tomorrow, please join us. We have Aisha who will be joining us from Renpath, and she will be actually walking you through email content creation. Pretty exciting. You can see how emails are created, templates are created, content block, and all that. So she's a very experienced email developer. So would be good to, like, listen to how she actually uses that in her daily work. Okay. Thank you all. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care. Good night. Good
Thank you so
afternoon.
much.
Bye bye. Good night. And Shivu.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Isha.
Isha.